Hey, this is Ed. Welcome to a super special edition of Ed Talks. In fact, this is the first special edition that we have. And joining me is my colleague, Rohit Mahajan. Did I get that right, Rohit?
Yes, Ed. Hi, everyone.
That's great. I always try to get people's names right, but for some reason,
Yeah.
I really struggle. I don't know why. There's definitely a mental block that I have. But I want to welcome you because today we're going to talk about DAMO Consulting. Um, so many in our audience know DAMO, and we know the legacy of Patty, and we're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about some great news around Patty, his family, and for DAMO Consulting. So, Rohit, thanks for being with me as we sort of unpack this. But so everyone gets to know you a little bit. I had a few questions for you, and then we're going to get straight to the DAMO
So,
announcements. So you and I really met through this. We're going to talk about this acquisition of DAMO Consulting, and so
yeah.
we have some common friends, all the way up to Patty and his wife, and really through that, that's how we got to know each other. And so you ended up acquiring. You're the managing director of BigRio, and you ended up acquiring DAMO.
Yes.
And so that's really how you and I have connected. And I promised to Patty's wife and everyone associated with it that I would help make any transition successful. So I'm super happy to be working with you. But let's get to know you a little bit first. What's the best customer experience you've had this past year? Like any type of experience related to customer service?
Yeah. So in terms of a personal experience on the customer
Yeah.
service, you mean,
Any?
Ed? Yeah. So I think for me, customer service is a lot about self-service. And what I would like to describe is, as many of us might have experienced, when we all travel, there are travel delays. And I think the best experience I've always had, and I'll give a shout out for the United app. I'm United, uh, member for a long time,
Yeah.
and the ease of use, that when you go to the app and you are able to change your flights, and you're able to look at your schedules, and you're able to navigate the airport as you might need to. I think that is something that I really value, because when we all travel, time is short and changes happen on the ground. So that makes it very helpful to from a customer service perspective.
Yeah, I never thought about self-service as a great customer experience for sure, hands down. I like it. And what's one thing that your parents forced you to do when you were a child that you didn't want to do, but now as an adult, you look back and you're like thankful that they sort of pushed you that direction?
That is quite interesting that you asked that question, because I always hated my parents for putting me in a typewriting school. So my father told me that, look, why don't you learn typewriting? And this is before there were computers. And he said, at least you'll find a job of a typist. So all summer, I ended up actually learning typewriting on an old style typewriter, and that comes really handy now when I have to do any work on the computer,
Yeah.
because of the type layout of the keyboard. So I can type really fast. But I think all of it is going to voice very soon. But anyways, that's something that I think
Yeah.
is very valuable.
That's a good one. I took typewriting in college. I was a freshman, and that
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago. Maybe it was, but I'm always thankful I took that class too. I don't think I ever got above 35 words per minute. I was pretty bad because I was a bad student in every class. So it's not surprising. But yeah, a few years later, I was like, I'm glad I took that class, even though I got a D in it. I got a D or F in every course for a while. Um, so you definitely have an entrepreneurial bug. You started some companies, so this is quite natural for you, this sort of acquiring Damo. But tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial bug and then your interest in healthcare.
Yeah. So I had both, again, very interesting questions, because I think I worked, I come from a military family. My father was in the Indian Army, so he was a career, military person. And growing up, I did my engineering, and after engineering, I went into industry. I worked with Wipro and then with IBM, And then I got an opportunity to get to the US, before the year 2K, to work for a software services company. And then I decided to do my own business in IT consulting. But I think the bug was planted by my grandfather. So he had one of the largest sporting goods exporting business out of India, out of North India. And he had started as an entrepreneur. And when I used to visit them during my summer vacation growing up, he always used to ask me that, are you going to do business for yourself? Are you going to be in
Yeah.
business for yourself? So I think the inspiration largely comes from there. And then my wife, Mona, comes from a business family as well. So she was very supportive about the idea. So I think that basically made me jump into taking a chance on doing my own business, and no regrets. And I think it's God's grace that we've come a long way from there on. And so yeah, so that was about the entrepreneurial journey. And then you had a second part of the question.
Yeah, in healthcare. And I think you've already
Yes,
served in
yes.
healthcare, but now really in a big way.
Absolutely. So I think healthcare for me, Ed, was a strategic decision that happened after I finished my graduation from the Harvard Business School. I went for a program over there called the Owner President Management Program. And one of the learnings for me from that program was that the industry segment is important. So before that going for that program in around 2010, all my business was industry segment agnostic. But then I took a pretty deep look at all the industry segments that I could play in, and I chose healthcare at that point in time to orient the whole business into, because I thought that first of all, it has a purpose to it. So you have a purpose when you are working with healthcare organizations, and second of all, there's a lot of work which can be done over there. So I put a stake in the ground for the next many years. We would work in healthcare. And I think recently it was kind of cemented by the patient journey of my father, which I saw up close. So I'm glad to be in this industry segment.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's one thing that we were really excited about. And I think sort of a criteria, if you will, for whoever were to take DAMO sort of to the next level had sort of that background and passion surrounding healthcare. So that's great. You also wrote a book. So when I did a little research about you, I found a book on quantum care, a deep dive into AI for health delivery and research. What's sort of the one or two sentence like highlight for that book?
Yeah. So first of all, it is dedicated in the memory of my father. Second of all, AI has been a topic that I've been very interested in from my engineering school days. And third of all, I wanted to inspire younger generation to do more healthcare entrepreneurship. So the book is written from that perspective. It talks about a lot of things in healthcare and technology in healthcare and all the opportunities in healthcare, to give people an idea that there is funding available, there are opportunities available to jump in and do startups.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, it had a lot of very positive reviews on Amazon and other places. So that's
Thank
great.
you.
All right. So yeah, let's switch about the big news, which is on DAMO. But for those who aren't familiar, so Patty and I, we go way back, and I wrote about this on LinkedIn if people want to see some of the detail. But we went way back. We never did business together, but I respected him as a business person, and we looked at some of the things that he was involved with. And we made decisions not to go that direction, strategic decisions at some other healthcare organizations that I belong to. But I always respected and admired Patty. We talked a lot about music, so I'm wearing a Beatles shirt in his honor. And he was a great musician, and that's what he loved to do, mostly jazz stuff, though. But he's a great person all around. And so I remembered when I had the opportunity when I was at the Cleveland Clinic, I hired him to help me. So I had a big thing I had to do. I had to create the digital strategy for the Cleveland Clinic, a daunting task. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to need a little bit of external help, because I didn't want to, make this a multi-million-dollar purchase of, some consulting firm coming in with a bunch of people that I'd basically be training. I just wanted one person, a small team, to sort of come in and help. And while I, along with my peers that I collaborated with, would do the heavy lifting, just someone to sort of guide things along, someone knowledgeable and make sure that we were on the right track and helping. And Patty was that guy. So I contacted him. He was right there. As a result of that experience, we spent a year, less than a year, putting that together, and it turned out great. Thanks again, not just to Patty and Damo, but also the whole Cleveland Clinic enterprise. But he approached me about writing this book on digital transformation, and I said, absolutely. We put it together in about 6 months. We had to wait through the pandemic. The pandemic happened right after we started. So we spent a lot of time together. I went out to Chicago where he lives and spent time with him and his wife, and really got to know him really well, even better than I had before. And it was great. Even Toby Cosgrove, my first boss at the clinic, wrote the forward. And anyways, the book did really, really well, helped a lot of people. And that's just who Patty was. The books, he wasn't making a lot of money. You're not going to make a lot of money from books or anything. He just did it as I did, because it was helping other people. So that's a great thing. And so I was so happy when there was a kindred spirit who was making this acquisition. So can you tell us some of the details now from your perspective, how it came about, and how did you get to know about Damo and make the acquisition?
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, that there was a common friend who put us together with the family, Paddy's family. And this common friend knew that I was passionate about the healthcare industry segment. The company that did the acquisition, BigRio, which acquired DAMO, also has a large presence in the healthcare industry segment. So we made a visit with my team, BigRio. We have a great team, just like DAMO does.
Yeah.
So we went to Chicago, met with the family, Paddy's family in person, and we were able to impress upon them that we would be able to carry on Paddy's legacy, not just with the company, but also with his various initiatives. A couple of them I would like to mention quickly on this talk with you, Ed. Both of us know that DigiM Awards, the Digital Maturity Awards, were a great success last year. They are coming up again this year. In fact, the submissions are open for health systems to be able to benchmark their digital maturity efforts with other health systems. So that is one. The second one is the podcast, which I think was based on one of the books that Paddy had written, was The Big Unlock. So we are reviving the podcast. And then, of course, there's this platform which is called the Demo Intel platform. So I think, Paddy's family was kind of, confident that it was a good match. And I think that all came together. And we are very, very happy that we are able to join forces and, work together with the demo team and the BigRio team to create even more value for our common clients.
Yeah, that's great. And was there anything specific that attracted you to Damo, or just in general their expertise and their reputation in healthcare?
So I think it was definitely their reputation and expertise in healthcare, but also the entire approach on the digital transformation, which you mentioned, and you wrote a big book on. I think that is still a very big wave. People at various stages of the digital transformation efforts. And I think Demo has the right platform to make that happen. And under that, you can do a lot of implementations, which, BigRio brings to the expertise to the table as well.
Yeah, that's great. How can Damo help provider and payer organizations? So for those who are unfamiliar, let's say some of our audience had never heard of Damo or Patty.
Yes.
How can Damo help? You've mentioned some areas already, but anything else?
Yes.
How Damo helps?
Yeah, so that's a great question as well. So I think Damo's expertise is in building the roadmap for digital transformation. And, that could include, for example, for one of our clients, we are doing a very interesting initiative on, clinical access center. So that was an outcome of the entire digital transformation strategy that Damo had done for this client. It was one of the initiatives, and they're very happy about it. So I think with the BigRio expertise on, AI and machine learning that we bring to the table, and now, Gen AI and LLMs, I think it can be a very powerful combination for both the parties.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll put in the comment section of when I post this, I'll put in the comment section about the announcement and I'll also put about the DGM survey
Yeah.
awards. And so
Cool.
any other information we'll put there as well as the Big Unlock, which is an excellent podcast that I highly recommend. And yeah, Patty did write his first book was called The Big Unlock, and I was privileged to write the foreword of that particular book, which I think is somewhere probably up here on the
Yeah.
on my bookshelf. Anything else before we close, Rohit, that you would like to share? Maybe we missed something or anything else you want to reinforce?
So I think it was pretty comprehensive, Ed. I think we are quite looking forward to working with the demo team and the demo clients and discovering more potential opportunities to further cement the relationships.
Yeah, that's great. And I believe, right, that same DAMO team is still there.
Yes.
Yeah, because I would interact with them, after Patty's death, we were still interacting and I was, supporting one another through that. And so,
Very fortunate. Yeah, very fortunate. And they have stayed on and they're highly committed.
yeah, and you got some
Yeah.
great clients. How I want to end our show today is actually just in silence. So thank you for watching, and we're just gonna stay here in silence in honor of Patty, and we'll exit. So thank you.
Thank you.